television, of course, but so happy to be here, and I have good memories also from here.
And I know you have good memories because you've actually won twice at this high Finca circuit before, haven't you? How's it changed since back when you were racing? And it's nice memories.
Yeah, actually, if I look the racetrack, it looks like same profile and same many friends here.
Yeah. Well, I know obviously you've been retired for a very long time. But is there a part of you that would like to go out there and do some racing yourself now you're on the start line?
Yeah, of course, you know, when come here and then feeling to go, okay, this is always so exciting, this start. And
well, enjoy it, Pekka. It's great to have you with us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Let's now grab a few words with Nastan Husvana, MX2 rider Kai de Wolf. Kai, it was a tough day at the office yesterday for you. I know you just crashed on the jump over there. You were last, weren't you, at one point? Hard charge through field to P6. Good work.
Yeah, it was actually a pretty good moto. I crashed in the second turn, and then yeah, I came from last back to 6, so that was pretty good. I felt really comfortable out on track, and yeah, I love riding in the sand once again. So yeah, let's see if we can have a good start now in this first moto and just do our thing.
And in other news, I do believe congratulations is in order. You passed your driving test, didn't you? How long did it take? Like 5 times or something, didn't it?
No, first try, but
no, it's 5.
No, it wasn't that difficult. Yeah, I just got it in one time, so pretty good.
Great job, Kai. Well, best of luck today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, good luck there to Kai. It's time for MX2 Race 1.
That was great to catch up with Pekka Vähkönen, the only other Finnish rider besides the great Heikki Mikkola to have won a World Motocross Championship. That was back in 1985 when he was 125cc World Champion aboard a Kajiva. He did win here though for a Yamaha twice in 1989 and again in 1991. Remember that he was 4 times runner-up in the World 250cc Championship, Pekka Vähkönen. And of course, another small point, he is the brother-in-law of the great Roger da Costa. His sister is married to Roger. So as we... oh, crikey. There's some fairly frightening air displays going on above us here. But now we're going to concentrate on stuff that's on the ground. Let's take a look at what happened during yesterday's qualifying. Let's take a look at the championship classification first. 23 crucial points separate Keerts from Vial. Langenfelder third ahead of Hoogmo, Benistone. Harrop slipped to 6th. Adamo struggling a little bit with that nasty knee twist he suffered. De Wolf is next up ahead of Rubini. Gifting, of course, is out with a knee injury for the rest of the season. Liam Everts, this circuit, twice was won round with in 1974 and 75 by his grandfather Harry Everts, who of course is limping around here as ever, enthusiastically supporting his grandson, riding that famous twin car Pooch. Harry Everts was victorious here in 74 and 75. Hyvinka, of course, making its first appearance on the world stage back in 1965. Torsten Holman on a Husqvarna winning there. Before that, Finnish Grand Prix had started out not so far from here, near Helsinki at Ruskia Santa. This was yesterday's qualifying race. Lovely slow-mo action there of Jago Hertz. But the man who gets there in front of him is number 11, Mikael Harrop, from neighbouring Denmark. Oh, and down goes the Red Bull KTM of Tom Vial. And Vial is becoming prone to making a few mistakes now, the 2020 World Champion. However, very quickly out at front is his great rival Jago Hertz, who absolutely loves the sand. And someone else who's beginning to enjoy sand is number 516, Simon Langenfelder on the factory GasGas. And also impressive was Ron van der Moostek, getting more and more in tune with the sort of speed that he needs. Coming right through from the back, of course, was... Oh, look at this, battle between number 72, Liam Everts, and number 28, Tom Vial. And they're going backwards and forwards with one another, and out goes Hogmo. Kevin Hogmo forced to retire with a problem with the F&H Kawasaki. Diebold Benistong, who suffered a bit of a shoulder injury a week ago in Sweden and was suffering some pain with that, fights his way through the pack, but no one is going to catch this man, Jago Hertz. He wins by a country mile. In fact, the gap is 22 seconds back to Rowan van der Moostijk, with Mikael Harp next up after that good start. Langenfelder in fourth. Benistong makes it through to fifth ahead of Kai de Wolf. Liam Everts gets the better of Tom Vial, who also falls back behind fellow Frenchman Tom Guillon. Great victory then for Hertz. I'm getting a little concerned about Tom Vial. I feel that the 2020 World Champions now got his eye on going to America rather than finishing the job here. So this is how it looks on the lineup, with Tom Vial not featuring on that leading page because he finished that qualifying race behind Tom Guillon's private KTM. Number 27, Guillon. Tom Vial in 9th place ahead of the speedy Slovenian Jan Pansage. Joel Ritzy scoring really well in 11th place for the UK, ahead of Rubini, Verbruggen and the rest, with Bobby Bruce down there in 22nd place. Only 23 people on the rather scant start line. It's a worrying state of affairs. But what's going to happen with the World Championship? We just get this feeling. Is Tom Vial really up for it? We're soon going to find out, because this race is a fairly critical one on the outcome of the World Championship. Langenfelder and Benistong, of course, have both scored 5 podium finishes this year. And Jago Hertz has great memories of this track because he became European 85cc champion here in 2014. He says, I have nothing but good memories of this circuit. And there he is, the quiet young Belgian. Loves riding sand anyway. He finished that qualifying race over 22 seconds clear of the opposition. And second place man was Rowan van der Moostijk, who seems to be getting himself back to race fitness fairly quickly after that lengthy layoff. It's always great to see elderly gentlemen around the place trying to sort things out, like starting gates and stuff. Mikael Harp on the big Van World MTX Kawasaki has struggled a bit with mechanicals since having those 2 breakdowns in Indonesia. Simon Langenfelder, the Red Bull Gas Factory Racing, 5 times a podium finisher, and clear now in 3rd place in the championship, but he really needs to up his game and get on the same pace as Geerts and Tom Vial. The lineup then for the first of the MX2 motors, and it's so critical for this man because he's running out of races. This is round 16, and Tom Vial, second in the World Championship that he once won 2 years ago, and he's got a 23-point deficit against his Monster Energy Yamaha rival Jago Hertz. Can he do anything about it? Hertz there alongside Rowan van der Moostijk on the inside of the start lineup. That's an interesting one I haven't seen before. The warm-up routine of Jago Hertz on the red plate inside. How many fingers do you need on the clutch? Who's going to get the all-important? Oh, good burst out of the blocks there by Hertz. But Vial has got alongside him, albeit on the outside, and I think he might hold on to that. No, he's going to just... No, he is going to hold on to that second place. Is he? Is he? Will he? Won't he? He's right beside the 2, the Nestor Husqvarnas, left and right of him. And he just managed to burst through from their clutches. And he'll need to, of course, because this is 2 sand-loving Dutchmen he's got wrapped around his rear wheel right now. And he's got a sand-loving Belgium ahead of him. So Tom Vial has got to make a move here. He's got to try and hold this place. We want to see this MX2 championship go down to the wire. Langenfelder is 5th ahead of Harp. And Kimi Kostinger of Finland on a gas has made a great start ahead of Liam Everts, Jan Pankar, Kiel Verbruggen. Benistong outside the top 10 with Hogmo and Rubini. Oh, and Yates was slow out of the wave section. It looked almost like he might have missed a gear, but a mistake from Jago Yates allows Tom Vial through. And if Vial gets to the front, he's good at holding on to that position, but can he do it himself in sand against Yates? Jago instantly responds and goes back to the front. He's riding on a wave of confidence at the moment. And these two, it has to be said, they're just such a superior act to the other guys in this class. They haul them along, but really it's quite astonishing how they can break clear and run a race of their own. But Tom Vial needs to start beating Jago Yates if he's going to make it count, if he's going to keep himself in with a chance at the championship. It's Rowan van der Molstijk who's leading the Nestaan Husqvarna Challenge against the newly qualified car driver, Kai de Wolf. Mikael Harp next up as a Danish rider. He'll like this sandy stuff. He's ahead now of Simon Langenfelder. The 22 riders on the start line. Joel Ritchie is circulating in 18th place. The two Husqvarnas nailed together. They're so similar, those two guys. Whoa, look at the way that Kai de Wolf decides to take a different line and try to get around the outside of his teammate. Dutch riders are quite amazing in sand, the way they can ride it with the front wheel held aloft, feet pinned to the pegs. Just so cool and smooth. Hanging on behind them though is Mikael Harp, making a bright start on the MTM Big Van World Kawasaki. Look at him taking that extreme left-hand line and then chopping to the inside. He has got away from Langenfelder, and the next man up you could see was still Kimi Koskinen on his gas. And I'm surprised to see Mikael Harp really pestering number 74, Kai de Wolf. But of course, Scandinavians do have a preference, like the Dutch riders, like the Low Countries boys, for this sandy lark. So here it's leads. Vial second, Van der Molstijk third. This is the battle for fourth place. Mikael Harp looking great. Fastest lap so far, 1:50.42 by Jago Yates. And that was virtually a second quicker than Tom Vial. This is where Yates lost all momentum at the end of the wave section and was properly stuffed by Vial. But Tom was quickly retaken. Yates, as I say, riding that wave of confidence, knows that he can take it away at the front, and he's already 1.7 seconds clear of his bitter rival. And Tom Vial, as the only real survivor of Red Bull KTM's Austrian outfit, has got to do something about this. Rowan van der Molstijk continues to look pretty comfortable in third place. Look at the style of that boy, Kai de Wolf. He's amazing. Interestingly, if you go at Finland is not a country that we associate particularly with motocross Grand Prix racing. As I mentioned earlier, Heikki Mikkola, the only man to really stamp his authority with and during an era of mega opposition. He was 4 times world champion. First in the 500cc class, 1976 by a single point against Gennady Moiseev in the 250cc class. And then 1977 and 78 when he moved from Husqvarna to Yamaha, and he dominated those 2 championships to make it 4 championships during the 1970s, and then Pekka Vähkönen in 1985. But if you go back about 40 years, the last time that 250GPs were regularly being ridden here, you had people like Erkki Sundström, Jukka Sintonen, Matti Tarkkanen, Simo Taimi, Tapani Pikkareinen, who became a Finnish Grand Prix star when he actually won his only Grand Prix at Ruskia Santa in 1983. So there were lots of Finnish riders of Grand Prix quality around then. And look at this lot squabbling amongst the big pack. This is what we've become used to. Lots of midfield arguments going on here in the MX2 class. We're looking at number 42, Kimi Koskinen, and Thibault Benniston, number 198, pursuing him. Behind them, Kiel Verbruggen of the Netherlands ahead of Tom Guillaume. So these guys are only just inside the top 10. And they've been overtaken by Liam Everts. Liam, of course, his father Stefan, who was a winner of 250 GPs, but not here. He won a finish, and as we watch Thibault Benniston swoop past, Kevin Holdmo running behind has pushed through now into 10th place behind those two. So he's made up 2 places on Verbruggen and Tom Guillaume. And the Norwegian looking his muscular self. Meanwhile, the rather more elegant figure of the Dane, Mikael Harup, keeps the pressure on Kai de Wolf. Last lap time for Jago Hirsch, 1:49.2. So he's opened up the gap to 3.3 seconds. And it's really, I think, Tom Guillaume, it's going to have to be damage limitation with this, but then there's only 2 rounds and 4 races left. First at his beloved Saint-Jean d'Angely in France, and then the final round in Turkey on September the 4th. So he's running out of options, really. Kai Karsmakker's 13th. Andrea Adamo, we don't know how much he's being affected by his injured knee, in 14th. Jan Pansar in 15th. That's a bit disappointing. Joel Ritchie in 17th place, ahead of Stefan Rubini. The only 2 people outside the points are Amd Jonsson and Gerhardsen, both 2 Swedes. Inside before wave. I like that. Instructions. This is the line you should be taking, young man. I think that's something that they need to work out for themselves, to be honest. And there's one thing about a sand track, it gives you plenty of options. Mikael Harup all the time. Harup takes that wide line again. It's a shame that jumps there, because that turn would be a far more interesting one if he could just take a flat inside line, because that was noticeable how it costs him time when he's got to take a lovely line through the right-hander and then have to skip over the hump on the inside of the left. Looking at the lap times, Kai de Wolf 1:51.6, 1:51.0 for Mikael Harup. But that lap of Jago Hirsch is the first time a 250 has gone underneath 1:50 round here this weekend. Incidentally, we have had a championship decided already here. The AMX European 125cc final round, and victory for Fantic Factory Team Maddie's Cas Valk of the Netherlands. Oh, a mistake by Mikael Harup cost him just that vital time with that lack of drive. Mikael Harup, of course, riding for Steve Dixon's MTM Big Van World Kawasaki squad. Dixon originally starting out as Jeremy Watley's mechanic with Mitsui Yamaha in 250 Grand Prix back in 1990. He's been going at this business for a long time. Mikael Harup, 20-year-old, turns 21 on the 15th of September. It's a shame that there's that bump on the inside of that turn. As we turn our attention now to the battle warming up between Liam Everts and Thibault Benniston. There is Liam Everts, looking as tidy as his dad. Stefan Everts victorious at Ruskia Santa in 1993 in his days on Suzuki. Wow, Thibault Benniston getting big airtime as he tries to move in on the teenaged Liam Everts. But Liam looking pretty comfortable on this going. Do you remember when there used to be there used to be straights, flat straights that people could attack one another along without waves or jumps. Then at least created overtaking opportunities. They're difficult things to come by these days. Monster Energy Yamaha Factory MX2 teams. Jago Hertz leads the way. He's just composed with that 3.2 second advantage over Red Bull, KTM Factory Racing and Tom Vial. Tom Vial making the move across the Atlantic next year, where Red Bull, KTM feel that they need some support in their ranks. But at the moment, Honda are looking strong in both the AMA 450 and AMA 250cc nationals. This is the next batch of riders coming through, and still with Mikael Harrop harrying Kai de Wolf, and they've not let Rowan van der Moostijk get away. They're lapping just that little bit quicker. Kimi Koskinen has drifted back to 14th place now, obviously run out a bit of steam on his gas. And look at Kai de Wolf, he's getting closer now to Rowan van der Moostijk. This is heating up into a third place battle. Our previous visit here in 2014, you might remember, Jeffrey Hurlings cruised to a 9th successive 1-1 finish. 9th successive, and had established a huge lead in the standings, and then he broke his thigh when he was playing on an 85cc bike at the Stefan Everts charity meeting, and had to sit out until the final round of the year in Mexico, where he, despite coming back ridiculously soon, he couldn't quite prevent Jordi Tixier from claiming his only world title by about 4 points. Hurlings is remarkable, really, because he could have so often been world champion if that was he'd already won 2 in a row and was going for the hat-trick when he suffered that injury. We've got 16 minutes and a half to go. Oh, Kai de Wolf getting way offline there, and that allows Mikael Harrop to once again close the gap. But of course, as soon as you close the gap, you're getting that stinging roost. And here comes Mikael Harrop again. If he didn't have to go for that jump, if he just had the flat turn to negotiate on that inside, that would make such a difference. This is the 16th round of the World Championship here. And again, Mikael Harrop got good drive across the wave section there and closed right down. Not so good on the exit though. And Kai de Wolf is suddenly launching at his teammate. The Husqvarnas that had a special retro colour scheme in Sweden last year to celebrate the 15 times World Motocross Championship winning Husqvarna mark, that of course originally was a Swedish brand. That was interesting. Tom Vial getting bordered round the back. Glad to find out that sometimes happens. Jago Hertz, his last lap time 1:51.0. 1:52.1 for Tom Vial means he's just slipped back to 4 seconds behind the leader. But of course this is really Belgian territory rather than French, it has to be said. The gap still closing up between Liam Everts and Thibaut Beniston, and also beginning to threaten both of them is the dashing Norwegian Kevin Hogmo. Riding for F&H Kawasaki, Beniston keeps launching himself into huge airtime in his attempts to close down on Liam Everts. Everts rising the same number as his famous father, and loses out, just loses a bit of drive on that inside line, and straight away Beniston is through. And that means that Beniston goes 7th, Liam Everts drops to 8th, but for how long? Because Kevin Hogmo's really coming through fast. Hogmo's last lap was a 53.2. But he'd had a 52.2 before that. And there's not much sign of pain in his shoulder from Benny Stong at the moment. He's moved through into 7th place. But he's got a good 5 seconds to make up of Simon Langenfelder. We're back to that battle for 3rd place, and still Rowan van der Moostijk has the advantage. Van der Moostijk, who was out for a long period of time, the European 250 champion of 2019, 22-year-old from Eindhoven, down along the sands of the deep south of Holland, so he's going to love this sort of stuff. The next man to appear over the hilltop behind these three was that flash of vermilion there is Simon Langenfelder, who's the German lad is really hanging on gallantly. About 4 seconds adrift, holding 6th place, 3 seconds ahead of Thibault Benestong. But Benestong's looking strong in this sand. Mikael Harrop, who was holding 4th place in the championship at one time, at the moment he's about 18 points behind Thibault Benestong for 5th place. Benestong 41 points behind Kevin Hoogmo, who currently lies in 4th. So Mikael Harrop has hemorrhaged a lot of points in recent rounds, and he's just beginning to slightly lose contact with those Husqvarnas. I mean, looked really strong for so long in this race. 12 minutes, just over 12 minutes to go. Steve Dixon.
Steve Dixon, we see Mikael Harrop at the moment in 5th. He's pushing hard, made a little mistake, but on the whole, he's looking good out there. What feedback has he given you about the track and about qualifying?
He's happy with the track and the bike, and yeah, just trying to do the best he can to claw back some points on the people in front of him in the championship. So fingers crossed, let's see the end of the race.
Best of luck, thank you.
Fingers crossed we'll see the end of the race. Yes, things have got a little bit terminal with Steve Dixon Kawasaki's recently. Look at this. Number 39, Rowan van der Moostijk, has been thoroughly stamped on by his teammate Kai de Wolf, and now he's going to have to deal with Mikael Harrop. And as Steve Dixon engagingly says, let's hope we see the end of the race. We've got 11.5 minutes plus 2 laps to go. Whoa! Again, a bit of a wobble there from Kai de Wolf. Oh, and there's a mistake by Kai de Wolf. Or was that Rowan van der Moostijk who got that wrong? No, Kai de Wolf gets it wrong. And the two of them go side by side. There's Langenfelder just at the bottom of your picture. Mikael Harrop, number 11, hanging on to their shirt tails. The only man in the 152s at the moment with a 5-second lead is Jago Hertz. These guys are all in the 153-54 category. The amazing thing about sand racing, it does open up those levers, open those gaps sometimes between the ones that can do it and the ones that can't do it quite so well. Mikael Harrop knows that if he gets the better of Rowan van der Moostijk, he can possibly go with Kai de Wolf, but the Wolf is gradually getting away, and as he gets anchored up behind Rowan van der Moostijk, look at that bright red gas of an inspired Simon Langenfelder coming up behind. Here comes Mikael Harrop, tries to go for that inside line, can't quite maintain the momentum, gets forced wide by Rowan van der Moostijk. Langenfelder 153.9 on the last lap. Rowan van der Moostijk had a disaster, well, a relatively poor lap, 56.2. Here comes Harrop, gets alongside the Dutchman, neck and neck over the jump, and does go inside him. Can he hold it? Yes, he can. So Mikael Harrop finally makes the break that he needed, through into 4th place. And Langenfelder is beginning to close the gap now. Rowan van der Moostijk beginning to flag a bit, and Langenfelder can smell it. There's 9.5 minutes and 2 laps to go to sort it out. Mikael Harrop having a splendid ride. The last time we had, before we came back here in 2013 and 14, we did have an isolated Finnish 125 Grand Prix in 2000, Y2K. We came back to Heinela when Grant Langston went 1-1 on his way to the World Championship. The second place man was a Dane. Twice third in the races. Second overall was Brian Jorgensen, former Grand Prix winner and British 125 champion. Third place went to our very own James Dobb. And look at Langenfelder now closing the gap. Langenfelder's becoming a real all-rounder, capable of mixing it on any surface. Not something that we expect from German riders. And Van der Moostek's lap times have suddenly sunk. Meanwhile, Michael Harp has escaped and gone after Kai de Wolf, but also Van der Moostek being closed down rapidly by Simon Langenfelder. The factory gas looking strong. They're 9 seconds clear of Thibault Benistonk, but they've got no worries from the back. Here comes Langenfelder. And Jago Hertz just making a bit of a meal of the wave section there. So the Monster Energy Yamaha is in charge at the moment and really is riding quite beautifully here. He's had a couple of arguments with the wave section, but at least hasn't made the sort of mistake that allows the upcoming orange Red Bull KTM to get near him. 8.6 seconds. Wow. Oh, and there's 8.6 on the board. Yep, that's what we're seeing on the timing screen. He is riding fast. Fast and committed. And here comes number 28, Tom Vial. Isolated now, well clear of the opposition. Clear of the opposition by 14.5 seconds. This is what I mean about Dirk Grobel, of course, looking on, gritting his teeth, knowing they need points. Tom Vial, who has looked so dominant at times this year, and of course had the red plate at one stage during the season. But more recently, Jago Hertz has become the dominant individual. Here's Everts versus Hogmo. I thought Hogmo would gradually hunt the kid down. Stefan Everts, of course, joining Red Bull KTM alongside Andrea Adamo next year. Andrea Adamo has been announced as a member of Team Italy for the Motocross of Nations, alongside, would you believe, Antonio Cairoli and Mattia Guadagnini, both of whom were members of the winning team at Maggiora last year, with Alberto Ferrato as the genial fourth man in reserve. Wow, these guys are working hard at this. Thibault Benistonk hasn't got away from them either, so he certainly can't avoid any mistakes. But Everts is resisting strongly and holding that 8th place. Adamo has progressed to 10th place beside Kai Karsmakers and Tom Guyon. Jan Pansar in 13th, not enjoying the sun too much. And down into 21st place has gone Joel Ritchie, so just outside the points for the young Englishman, who's now 1.3 seconds behind Leopold Amdjornsson in 20th spot. This is the 19-year-old Thibault Benistonk. And this is the battle going on behind him. And, see that heavy landing for Kevin Hogmo. He's battling away. 5 minutes exactly, plus 2 laps for these two guys to squabble. Can Liam Everts hold on? All this coaching and support that the poor lad suffers all the time from the guys who, his grandfather and father, who share 14 world championships between them. Cranky, you're going to get some advice there, aren't you? In both ears. Hawkmore gets almost alongside. Takes the long road round, loses a few bike lengths. Kai de Wolf now well clear of Michael Harrop. Ron van der Moostek still holding off Simon Langenfelder. 1.3 seconds between them. They're both doing identical 1:56 lap times. So really, Langenfelder has dropped a couple of seconds, or a second and a half a lap, once he's got in behind Rowan van der Moostijk. And look at this, he seems to have fallen off the pace quite considerably when it looked as if he was going to sweep past the Dutchman. In fact, his lap times have dropped beyond Beniston, Liam Everts and Kevin Hordmo. So it looks like 6th place is going to be the best that this young man can do. Of course, coming up through the tutelage and watchful eye of Claudio De Carli, the man who inspired Tony Cairoli to 9 World Motocross Championships, and a double victory here in both 2013 and 2014 at Havinka. Mikel Harab spending the whole of this race within almost touching distance of Kai de Wolf. But the man on the Stan, Husqvarna, is looking increasingly secure in 3rd place. The rumour that when Husqvarna stop racing that the teams are going to start using Hondas is an interesting one. This little guy, of course, one thing that Tom Vial is going to benefit from when he crosses the Atlantic is there's no ridiculous aging out rule in the AMA, so he can carry on where he left off, racing the smaller bikes and enjoying it. And of course representing Red Bull KTM in a class that they've enjoyed some success in. Here comes the red plate holder Jago Hertz heading for victory, and of course passing a few people along the way. 224 Jakub Tarasak of the Czech Republic. Oh, Tom Vial, beautiful action from the Frenchman. So at the moment, the best that he could do is finish in 2nd place. That will pull the title lead out to 26 points, so it suddenly moves just beyond the equivalent of a one moto clean sweep of 25 points. The best and most astonishing lap time still remains the 1:49.239 in lap 2 that was produced by Jago Hertz. Here's the battle continuing for 8th place between Liam Everts and Kevin Hordmo. Oh, Hordmo looked as if he got the advantage there by going right. Oh no, perhaps he didn't. Liam Everts proving as coolly resistant as his father. And also, they've come back on, and a mistake there. Byline Simon Langenfelder running off track on the gas. Oh, where's he gone? Everett still hanging on tenaciously. He's got 20 seconds plus 2 laps to go. He could do this. He could do this. Stefan will want him to. If Liam Everts doesn't hang on to this 8th place, I reckon he'll get a real earful from Harry and Stefan at the end of it. Thibault Beniston just up the track ahead of him, and it must be, to a degree, inspiring for the young Liam Everts to have a kind of target man to take his mind off how he's being harangued from the back by that hard-riding Norwegian. F&H Kawasaki, who's signed for them again for next year. Looks to me as if the gap's closing. The timing screen doesn't tell me that, but it looks as if Liam Everts is getting, whoa, Hordmo. Looking like Ben Kayberg there, fellow Scandinavian, 2-time world champ. Hordmo on the F&H Racing Kawasaki. Everts on the Diga Procross KTM. Hordmo, the older of the two guys, comes up again onto the back wheel of Liam Everts, goes for that inside line. Oh, well. Beautiful move, pulled, eclipses Liam Everts. And with 3 laps to go, I reckon he probably thinks he might have a chance on having tigered his way past there and going after Thibault Benestong, who's in 6th. Thibault Benestong is there. Here comes Kevin Horgmo, number 27. Remember, he had to retire from the qualifying race yesterday with a mechanical issue, so that means he had to start from the outside of the admittedly diminished grid, but he's proved strong. 2 laps to go then for the race leader. But he's proved strong. 2 laps to go then for the race leader. But he's proved strong. 2 laps to go then for the race leader. Iago Hertz at the moment has a 12.5 second advantage over Tom Vial, who in turn has an 8.7 second advantage over Tyder Wolf, who's 4 seconds ahead of Mikael Harrop. 2 seconds back to Rohan van der Moostake. It's an untidy piece of riding by Iago Hertz, but he obviously knows that he can afford to be a bit untidy with a lead like that and in his favourite going like this. This is Liam Everts ahead of Kevin Horgmo, but Horgmo, he really punished Everts with that inside pass. That was pretty brilliant stuff. He's riding to the limit. Horgmo then exactly 1 second behind Benestong. I didn't realise that mistake of Simon Langenfelder had cost him dearly, because he's gone back to 9th place behind Liam Everts and just in front of SM Action's Andrea Adamo on the similar Gasgas. And there goes. Just for a moment I misread that. That was Kyle Verbruggen on the Kawasaki getting lapped. Here comes number 71, 74, Tyder Wolf. And Hertz on his last lap, so too Tom Vial. As from now. So for the second race, Vial's got to figure out something. One helpful moment would be to make the start, but when you know that Hertz is going to travel so much faster than you overall, then that becomes a bit of a hindrance, really, a bit of a kind of mental block, doesn't it? How on earth are you going to even get the whole shot and stay clear? And here's Horgmo closing on Thibault Benestong. Having worked so hard to get past Liam Everts, he can see that the Frenchman is coming back towards him. Fast, actually. And Horgmo, boy, you would like that top 6 finish. Langenfeller 9th, Adamo 10th, Karsmakers in 11th ahead of Guyong, Pansar, Rubini, Stauffer, Terasek. Joel Ritchie back in the points in 19th place ahead of Am Johnson. There's number 180, Am Johnson, being lapped by Thibault Benestong. As we move back to Benestong's teammate, the championship leader, the red plate holder, Iago Hertz. Well, he's killed this race stone dead, hasn't he, with a 12-second... Oh, Mikael Harris made a mistake as well. Oh, no! Mikael Harris made an awful error. He was running in 4th place, a couple of seconds behind Tyder Wolf. And that's absolutely what he didn't want. No mistakes though from Jago here. It's that one error early on at the end of the wave section that allowed Tom Vial past. But since then he has, and back behind Liam Everts. So back to 9th place goes Mikael Harap. Oh, he got cleverly avoided there by Rowan van der Moorsteek, who goes through into 4th place. Benniston goes 5th. Horgmo gets that 6th place finish. So all going topsy-turvy right at the end there as Rowan van der Moorsteek does take 4th place behind his teammate Kai de Wolf. And unfortunately for Steve Dixon's team, Benniston goes 5th, just ahead of Horgmo. Horgmo next in 6th, but Liam Everts in 7th. I think Mikael Harap will be next across the line. A somewhat detuned Mikael Harap, falling on the last lap and dropping from 4th place to 8th. Simon Langenfelder next.
You did it again. Foxhole shot, a little mistake at the start, but you weren't going to make the same mistake twice. You've extended that championship lead.
Yeah, it was a really good moto for me. Took the whole shot, and then first lap made a small mistake, and Tom passed me, but I passed him right away the next corner. So felt really good on the track, and really happy with the first moto win. So I'll try to do the same second moto.
Thank you.
Okay, Jago, he'll be going out for a second race win then on number 93, and we'll be taking a short break. See you shortly.